Hi, my name's Dave Ulrich. I'm a professor of business at the Ross School of Business and a partner in the RBL Group. We're trying to figure out, what does HR do to win? We've said you got to turn strategy, where we're going, into individual action through the management and navigation of paradox. There are three strategic enablers: culture and change, making things happen and changing; human capital curator, and the other one is total rewards. You know, it's really fun. We've been looking at the mix of HR practices for 20 years. One of the most fascinating things we did is we looked at the clusters of activities within the HR function. What are all the practices in HR? One of the studies we did a couple of years ago, we looked at that grouping by HR people and by line managers. HR people separated talent management, now human capital curator, and rewards as separate issues. Line managers saw them as the same. By the way, that's an interesting insight. The total reward steward and managing compensation and well-being really has to connect to human capital development. But in our research, we see those as separate. Human capital development is, how do we get the right people into the company, through the company, and if appropriate, out of the company. Total rewards is, what do we do with the people when they're in the company? Can we create a reward system that builds positive accountability? In fact, one of the hot areas in HR, should we do away with performance management? In fact, a number of years ago, students at the University of Michigan in the MBA program said, we hate performance management, we hate grades because they force differentiation, let's not do grades. We had a small committee meet, they came back and they said, we have a solution, we're gonna have no more grades. Here's what we're gonna have: pass, high pass, and low pass. By the way, here's what we discovered. That's called grades. It's called A, B, and C. You've got to have accountability. There's got to be a reward system. There's got to be a consequence. Without a consequence, people don't do work well. Almost nobody washes their car or their rent-a-car before they turn it in, because there's no consequence. That's silly. But most of us fill it up with gas. So in this domain of rewards, we see two things that I think are marvelous and fascinating. One is compensation and benefits. We get that. How do we manage the economic well-being of our employees? Do we give them fair pay for fair work? Does our compensation system based on equity, performance, and driving the right set of issues? Are people paid fairly? But here's what we also found. People want to find in work meaning, the non-financials. So what we found is, in building a reward system, we need the compensation. We need the financials, but we also need the meaning and well-being. Wendy Ulrich, my wife, and I did a book a few years ago called The Why of Work. Here's what we've discovered. Compensation is threshold. You need to pay fairly and appropriately, but to really drive rewards, it's well-being and purpose. My commitment at the University of Michigan is not my salary. By the way, I hope this isn't seen by the dean and others who now cut my salary. But my commitment to the University of Michigan is the meaning and passion I get from working with great students, working with great colleagues, working with great administrators. That's the meaningfulness that HR should bring to the job. How do employees figure out why they're working and find that meaning in the work? When meaning and compensation work together, we have a total reward steward. We have a package that helps people be successful.